Welcome children, take up to Civics book, Elections and the Election Commission. Representative government is one which there is a legislature composed of representatives freely elected by the people. Now representative government, what is this representative government? It is one where a legislature is composed of the representatives who are freely elected by the people. The Constitution of India lays down that every person who is a citizen of India and who is not less than 18 years of age and that is not otherwise disqualified other than any law shall be entitled to be registered as a voter. Now, Constitution of India, what does it lay down? It lays down that every citizen of India who is 18 years of age has the right to vote. The Constitution prescribes that there shall be one general election rule for every constituency. Now, Constitution even prescribes that there shall be one general election rule for every constituency. No person shall be excluded from the electoral roll on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, or any of them. Now, no person who could be excluded from the electoral roll on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or any of them. The needs for elections. The need or significance of election. Now, what is the need and significance of election? That is, people elect their rulers. People, what they do? They elect their rulers. It is through elections that Parliament and the state legislatures are constituted. Now, through elections, what happens? Parliament and state legislature, they are constituted. The party or the parties which get the verdict in the favor from the government. Now, party or the parties which get the verdict what they have in their favor from the government. And the elected members of parliament and the state legislative assemblies elect the president. Now, elected members of the parliament and even the state legislative assembly, what they do? They elect the President of India. The Prime Minister and the other ministers are appointed by the President. Now, Prime Minister and other minister, they are appointed by the government. They are held responsible to the Lok Sabha and even they are responsible to the Lok Sabha. Though it is through elections that various governmental structures are established and made functional, and it is through this election that many governmental structures are established and made functional. People exercise control over the representatives. Representatives are elected in a fixed tenure and have to seek fresh mandate from the people at regular intervals. Now, representatives, how they elected? They elected for a fixed period of time and they had to seek some fresh mandate from the people at regular intervals. In 2002, the Congress and the PDP, that is PDP full form is People's Democratic Party, they had formed a coalition government in Jammu and Kashmir. But in 2008, what happened? The people had voted for the charge of Omar Abdullah, who led the National Conference Congress coalition in the state. The PDP was out of, now the PDP, it was out of power. This shows that the voters were not happy with the PDP's performance. Now, authority to legitimize. The rulers want to establish that they enjoy the willing support of the masses. Now, rulers, what they want to show? They show that they want to enjoy that even the masses, that means the common people, are willing to support their party. Elections are a means of legitimizing the rights of the rulers to govern. Now, election, what are they? They are means to legitimize the rights of the rulers to govern. Now, elections are the means of educating the elected. Now, elections, what are the elections? They are the means how to educate the electorate. Elections arouse interest in public affairs. Election would give leaders an opportunity to meet all kinds of election. Now, election which comes to the interest of the public affair. Election even gives the leaders some opportunities how to meet all kinds of people and educate them about the political, economic, and social problem that the country is faced with. Now, protecting of human problem. How to protect the human freedom. A government based on the consent of the citizen is relatively more secure, the one which people have the right to participation. Now, a government which is based on the consent of the citizen, what they are relatively more secure, are they the one in which people have no right to participation. In complete democracy, no one can complain that he has not a chance to be heard. Now, in complete democracy, what happened? No one can complain that he didn't get a chance to be heard. Now, types of election. We may refer here to three types of election. Now, there are three types of elections are held in our country. That is general election, by-election, and midterm election. Now, what is the general election? First, general elections on the basis of adult franchise was held in 19. Now, first general election on the basis of adult franchise, it was held in the year 1952. This was a simultaneous election both for Lok Sabha and all the legislative assembly. Now, this election, it was meant for both the Lok Sabha and all the legislative assemblies. Therefore, it was known as general, and for this reason, it was known as the General Assembly. Second general election was held in 1957, was also a simultaneous. Now, second general election, which was held in 1957, was also a simultaneous election. Thereafter, election to some of the state assemblies could not be held along with election to them. Now, after that, what happened? Election to some of the state, it couldn't be held along the election to the Lok Sabha. Yet election to the Lok Sabha continued to be called, and so election to the Lok Sabha is continuously called the general election. The general election for constituting the 15th Lok Sabha were due to April-May 2009. Now, the general election for constituting this 15th Lok Sabha, why it happened? Due to April-May 2009. By-election. By-election is held to choose a member of the Lok Sabha or that of state. Now, by-election, why it is held? It is held to choose a member of the Lok Sabha or that of the state legislature to replace a previous member who has resigned suddenly or died. Now, why it is held? To replace a previous member who has either resigned or has suddenly died. At times, general seats may also fall vacant, and sometimes what happens, certain seats also falls vacant because the members have become subject to some disqualification. Now, when the seats become vacant, because members have become subject to some disqualification, seats falling vacant, and in this manner are also filled through by-election. Now, seats which falls vacant in this way, what happened? They are also filled through by-election. A member elected in a by-election holds membership along the unexpired term of the House. Now, membership for a member who is elected by a by-election holds the membership only for unexpired term of the House. Now, midterm election. The Lok Sabha or the state assembly may be dissolved before its term is over. Now, Lok Sabha or state assembly, what happens? It may dissolve before the term gets over. As a result, midterm poll is required to constitute a new house. As a result, what happened? Midterm poll. What it is required? It is required to constitute a new house. In fact, the expression midterm election has no legal sense. Now, in fact, what happened? The expression, the midterm election, they have no legal importance because election to Lok Sabha is now called a general. Because what happened? Election to Lok Sabha, what it is called? It is called general election. That is irrespective of the fact whether the previous house they can rent its full term or it is dissolved or it was dissolved earlier. Now, take out your diary, write election and election commission, explain, homework, revise it. And with this, I am ending my today's class. Goodbye.